What is happening, my Block Buddies? We are in extreme full hype mode because Nintendo has finally revealed a little bit more about their Nintendo Land involvement with Universal Studios theme parks. This is something that I've been waiting for my entire life, and I can't wait to step into the world of Nintendo through the awesome Universal Studios theme park. And I thought it would be a great time to kind of analyze the video and kind of see, what kind of hints can we already see from everything that is in that video. And also, there might be some little hints to what we can expect in the park. And there's also this cool, press release that Nintendo made that, in the tiny lines, you can still find a little bit of information. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of dream and think and kind of analyze what Nintendo has announced about this so far, because it is so exciting to think about this, because for all of my years, I've wanted this place where Nintendo lives, where you can really be yourself in the universe of Nintendo and kind of, live in Mario's world, for example. And now it seems like it's going to be true, it's going to come true, this giant dream. And it reads that Nintendo Land is coming to Universal Studios theme parks. The attractions will launch around the world over the next few years, and I think they've announced that in about 2020 they will be ready and for everyone to visit, and they will of course happen all over the world. To me, that is exciting, and I think that Nintendo has, just announced the tiniest bit of information that they can just now, because it's so far away, but they kind of need to say something, and I'm very happy that they did. Nintendo has partnered up with Universal Studios for a number of video game-themed attractions and theme parks around the world. So let's analyze this, a number of video game-themed attractions. So a lot of people are kind of scared that Nintendo's involvement with Universal parks and resorts will kind of be very one-sided, that it will be mostly Super Mario because that is their flagship title. Mario is the most famous, video game character of all time, and arguably he is more famous than Mickey Mouse at this point, which is, a really good draw for someone like Universal, because they will finally have that one character, right? And not just movie characters and stuff like that. They will just have this recognizable face that will definitely sell. But yeah, they're saying for a number of video game themed attractions, which, makes me think, okay, so video game themed, right? It doesn't say for a number of Mario themed attractions, but to tell you guys the truth, I don't think Nintendo's other properties like Animal Crossing, like even The Legend of Zelda and Metroid, are that gigantic that we can expect entire worlds from them. I think that, it's sad to say this, I know, because it hurts me as well, but I think that what ends up happening is that the entire thing will kind of be themed around Super Mario Brothers, and mostly like a new Super Mario Brothers style, right? Something very iconic, something everybody probably knows, and that there will be segments of that kind of going into new territory for different games. So that'd mean The Legend of Zelda, and that'd mean, of course, things like Metroid. And I think the reason that I think this is because Mario is a franchise that has evolved over the years into a couple of, different things and beautiful things, like Super Mario Sunshine, having Delfino Plaza, having Flood, and doing this themed, awesome vacation, and Mario Galaxy, which was an awesome adventure to space. But the Mario franchise as a whole has kind of stayed the same visually, and has stayed the same in its iconic landmarks. And franchises like Metroid, you don't really have, a regular look for Samus, If you think about Samus, everyone will be thinking about a different version of her, and thinking about, the most recent outing was Other M, so that is Samus to me. That's what they did with Smash Brothers, and for a lot of promotional stuff still. But to me personally, Samus is Metroid Prime, right? And for other people, it's Super Metroid, and I totally get that. And so that is a weird sort of cross. What kind of way would you, put that character in the park? And for Zelda, it's the exact same thing, because there is not a character in video game history like Link that just evolves every single game, and not just evolves as, a character, because Link is a different Link almost in every game, but just evolves in art style as well. So it makes you think, you could be theming the park around, what we saw at E3, what were these awesome, statues of Breath of the Wild. And I think that would be a good move. But if you think about it, 2020, that game will be old news, and we might be waiting for something completely new, a sequel to that game or something else completely, which, makes me think, yeah, they need to plan ahead so smartly with how they, make their characters, real. They kind of need to take the Smash Brothers approach, right? Where you take the essence of a character and kind of, make little subtle nods to different parts of the franchise, and they do that well, but still, as is the example with Samus and with Link, Link was very based on Twilight Princess still, and Samus was very based on Other M. And I think Mario will always be Mario, and I don't think he'll look like Smash Brothers Mario. I think he'll look like Mario, like Mario in the promotional imagery, Mario in the 3D World games, stuff like that. So even though I do expect and I want the park to have all these different awesome aspects, and I want this Kirby ride, and I want, the obscure games like Kid Icarus and stuff like that, I think that it's going to be a Mario park which has different segments to different games, and I think that'd be a smart business decision. But as a fan of Nintendo, that'd be not, the thing that I generally want to see. I kind of want to see, the Mushroom Kingdom connect to Hyrule, and I want to see Hyrule connect to Dream World, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm kind of torn between this. But, yeah, video game themed attractions do make it sound like there will be more than just Mario, right? Because it wouldn't be really called Nintendo partnered, it would kind of be Super Mario IP lend or something like that. So a lot like a real life version of the Wii U game Nintendo Land, the partnership promises to bring the characters, action, and adventure of Nintendo video games to life within Universal theme parks. So yes, Nintendo Land is a very good example, because that was, of course, one of the Wii U launch games that was sort of a Nintendo theme park in many ways. And even though there were games, there are a lot of things that I could see transform into games that could actually be in the theme park. A Metroid style kind of laser tag, with your friends, or something like a Legend of Zelda archery, something like a mini game like that. And I think that Nintendo Land has paved the way for this idea, and I think that it should be called Nintendo Land. That would be really awesome, and bring the characters' action and adventure to life. So, thinking about action, it's just so cool that these Nintendo games are not that explosive or not that violent, but there is action in all of them. And getting that action into theme park rides, it makes me think of Mario Kart, right? It makes me think of riding in a cart and maybe using items to trick people and stuff like that. So everything could be on rails and stuff like that, but it could feel really good, right? So adventure, that would definitely, be something very much to the Legend of Zelda franchise. So, exploring things and collecting things, and even the shops could kind of look like the Legend of Zelda, right? But we'll get to that in a minute. So, the attractions will be expansive, immersive, and interactive, according to a press release. They'll be highly themed and authentic environments filled, and here it comes, with multiple attractions, shops, and restaurants, it adds. So I'm very happy about this. I got to tell you guys, I was in LA actually a few months back for my holidays and doing some fun stuff with the band and touring and stuff like that. But there was something really cool that happened because we were able to visit, the Universal Park, and it was something that I had visited when I was very young, and a lot of things still stayed the same. A lot of things were very new, like the Simpsons World was brand new, and a lot of rides kind of changed over the years. But when I was there, it was already, well known that Nintendo had this partnership with Universal, and I kept looking at places inside that park and seeing, like, where could they, put Mario? Where could they put Nintendo Land? So I'm very happy about this because I know the park. I'm a very big fan of Universal. I think it very much rivals Disneyland, but Disneyland is, of course, such a gigantic corporation that I don't think Nintendo Land could ever really rival that. But thinking about what they're saying, you know, they'll be highly themed and authentic environments. So it won't just be, you know, a park with some shops, but it will actually be themed highly around the, you know, authenticity of the games. So we'll probably, you know, have a stroll through the Mushroom Kingdom, and that'll feel really good because, you know, we wanted to do that for a very long time. But it's saying multiple attractions, which, you know, you can't just have the one, but it makes me think that this is a really big endeavor, which is a really, really big deal for Nintendo because they're not one to really lend their characters all that much. And I'm so proud of them for making this big leap because there couldn't have been a more exciting way. You know, I think the most exciting way would probably be films, right? So sort of like a Nintendo shared universe, kind of like Marvel is doing, and they're building up towards something like Smash Brothers or like a tournament or whatever. But for me right now, this theme park idea is just so exciting because it will mean living in that world. And that is, you know, while we play games, that's all we really want. We want to live in a different world for a different time for a little while. And I think that this theme park will definitely, you know, cater to that. And then they say shops and restaurants. To me, you know, I love food. I love buying things as well. I'm like a shopaholic when you let me loose, really. And I also love my sweets and stuff like that. So I'm very, you know, curious what Nintendo will actually end up doing with the restaurants, because they could be themed across the Legend of Zelda kind of stuff. But that'll be a little bit too close to the Harry Potter kind of world, maybe. So if they theme it to, you know, maybe something like Kirby, or maybe, you know, even funnier, something like Animal Crossing, which would make a lot of sense for the shops as well, I think they could do a lot of interesting things, because all these games have always, you know, had all these different elements to them, and one of these elements in Zelda was, of course, you know, walking into different houses and seeing different interiors and talking to people. And I'm just wondering, if we talk to actual people, what will they look like? Will they have toad hats and stuff like that? That's something that I really think that will happen. You know, girls and boys kind of dressed as toads, and they will be your guide through the whole thing. And maybe we'll have Mario that walks in the park sometimes, and maybe we'll have Luigi, and really maybe we'll have Princess Peach. Don't know how that will look, if that will be an actual girl or that will be also like a Mario-like suit. That'd be kind of weird. But to me, the idea of a Nintendo restaurant, you know, sign me up. You know, I want to have, you know, a Chain Chomp burger or something like that, or maybe like a Shy Guy shake. I wish I'd written something like this down. Like, that'd be really interesting to think about what kind of food and drinks sort of a Nintendo Land will have. And of course, games that center around cooking for Nintendo is, of course, Cooking Mama. So maybe they can do a lot with that property as well. I just think Nintendo has to be very smart with exactly what they do with their properties. You know, Nintendo is always very hands-on with their own stuff, and I think that's good because that keeps it just that authentic that we want. So Nintendo attractions will launch at Universal Studios Japan, Universal Orlando Resort, and Universal Studios Hollywood over the next few years. And for that Hollywood one, I am so hyped. And then, of course, we can watch the video, which we are going to do. Are you guys ready for the analysis of the actual video for the theme parks? This is their first real announcement video about this, and it was rumored that Shigeru Miyamoto was seen in the Universal Park. And now we know that that wasn't just speculation, that actually happened, and they filmed a little video over there. And this video is called The Vision for Nintendo at Universal Theme Park. And just from that title alone, we know that there's talks, and there's a lot of things that are in development and things are happening, but it's still, you know, a talk about the vision and not really about showing us too much. So it immediately opens with, you know, a little hint of the park with, of course, the spinning globe Universal logo. And I thought it was pretty funny that we can see this giant green bush in the foreground, which really looks a lot like the normal bushes in Super Mario Brothers and World. So maybe they did that knowingly, right? And I can see some people in the background as well. I wonder if they noticed that Shigeru Miyamoto was there at that moment and who he was, right? And also, what would they think of the pipe? You know, I know it's not there on set, but you know, it's still funny. So talking about that pipe, right? To me, the visual style of Mario right here is kind of weird. It looks very plasticky to me. And the pipe sound effect, I think, is from Super Mario 64, if I'm not mistaken. So they're lending a little bit from different corners of the universe, but I can't really put my finger on what Mario is really themed after. He kind of looks like Super Mario 3D World promotional imagery Mario, and the jump that he does is exactly the jump from the new Super Mario Bros. Art, and he jumps very high in the air, which I really like, but he is so glossy. It kind of reminds me of, when Sonic's Adventure was ported to the GameCube with Sonic Adventure DX, and Sonic just looked glossy all over, and all the characters had this weird sort of plasticky feel to it, and, I kind of wish that they didn't really go for that style. I get how it's supposed to differentiate Mario a little bit from Shigeru Miyamoto and all the environment, but still, it's kind of weird and kind of jarring to see Mario like this. I know there's been a lot of fan films on YouTube where Mario is in the real world, and they made it look so convincingly real, and they also kind of used the model of Smash Brothers because that's a lot more lifelike, right? But still, it was a cartoon character with weird, height and length and stuff like that, but it worked, and in this case it doesn't really work. If this is a sort of a promotional peek at what the commercials could be, or maybe the CGI inside rides when you're like looking at a screen, I'm a little bit disappointed because I think Nintendo could do a lot better, and this style is just a very weird choice. But yeah, we see Shigeru Miyamoto being all chill and just walking down the path. He doesn't really notice Mario, and then Mario, he jumps down, he crouches just a little bit, and as he walks to the side, he looks at the spinning Universal logo, kind of nods at it, and then he opens his mouth as sort of a woohoo, as Mario does. And what I think is really cool is that Mario also gets a little bit out of focus as he runs out of frame. So the people who made this certainly did a good job at that. But I think that as Mario runs closer to the screen, he looks a lot more lifelike. And the first, little jump that he does, I think it looks very off to me. So I'm hoping that if in the future they'll do CGI like this will just be kind of a fluke and kind of like a thing that doesn't really matter all that much in the end. But I would have wished for a little bit more quality on this. But Mario looks great as he runs towards the screen, and he's following his maker, Shigeru Miyamoto, which is really cool. And then we zoom into the globe, which is really cool. I don't really know why. And then we get an image of course, the Universal creative Mark Woodbury, which is one of the higher-ups, one of the suits. And he is in this new sort of weird underground environment, it almost looks like. And as we can see this, we are speculating, is this already in the park? And I can safely say that no, we are not in the park. This is a studio inside, the Universal theme parks, because we can see the drapes in the background, the blue and the studio lighting as well. So no, this is definitely not something that is inside the park already, because leaks and stuff like that. But it is interesting of everything that we're seeing right here. I'm gonna go into the dialogue a little bit later, but for now, I think it's exciting to kind of see what can we learn from this picture right now. So we see two different landscapes, right? We see a landscape on the left that kind of looks like a general Super Mario world, but it has hints of the underground as well, because as you can see in the ground texture, there is sort of an underground motif going on in the dirt right there. One thing that I don't really like about this is that we can see the question mark block, which is kind of pasted on the background, and to me, you can't really jump under it and hit it, or at least pretend to, so that kind of sucks to me. I wish it was more like 3D, more sticking out of the wall, because now it kind of feels like the block is just glitching inside the wall, kind of a weird Mario Maker contraption. So we can see a pipe coming out of the dirt, facing forward, and inside of the pipe is a mushroom, a super mushroom. So this super mushroom kind of looks different to the super mushroom we see on the right, so possibly this is not a fully rendered 3D printed super mushroom, but it is inside the pipe. I wonder if it's really inside the pipe and if you can like crawl in there and sort of discover it for yourself. That'd be really cool. And then the thing that makes me think that this is not the underground world is because we have the grass plains and sort of a little pathway down there on the left. with, of course, the flowers, which look really cool. They're big flowers, right? The blue and yellow, and it looks really cool. And I can safely say that this is then the overworld, right? And that they've kind of changed up the texture of the normal underground or the normal ground to kind of have some hints to the underground as well. And what I think is really cool, I immediately think, of course, of something like Super Mario, the new Mario Brothers games. But it also has a lot of hints to Super Mario 3D World, and also it looks really real. I think Universal really wanted to do this realistic kind of look to it, which I love. I don't think Shigeru Miyamoto would have been on board immediately, but seeing it like this, it's really amazing. The grass looks so real, which is awesome, because everything else is very cartoony. You need something to kind of keep it together, and I think they're doing that really well with making that grass look a lot more real. So that's awesome. Then we of course see a brick block there on the top, which also looks like it's not really 3D. And I would really love it if, you could hit blocks right there in the park and kind of hear the coin collecting sound. That'd be really cool. And then on one of the tiny platforms, which would have been a pass-through platform in the games, we can see two shells. And one of them is a spiny shell, and one of them is a regular Koopa Troopa shell, which I think is, but it makes me think, are these the props that we are going to be using or seeing in sort of a Mario Kart ride, right? I know there are no real spiny, the spiny shell in Mario Kart is of course blue, so it's kind of weird that they have this because there is no spiny inside. So did Mario, blast this one out of the way? I don't know. But it's a really cool prop, and it kind of reminds me of the Wong videos where he, creates Mario environments in real life with CGI. It looks really cool. I think the real life Mario Kart looks really, these props look a lot like that. So that is a very good thing on their part. And, having these around the world, I would take pictures with props like this. That's really amazing. And, it begs the question, can we do something like a live action Mario movie? Or not. I'm gonna say no. I think that if you're gonna do a Mario film for theaters, it should be a CGI film, and they should make the general story of Mario a lot bigger. Sort of like an origin kind of story, right? The first time the princess gets kidnapped or something. And then on the right side of the screen, I've thought about this for a long while, but I think the textures look a lot like Princess Peach's castle, but the other objects are clearly saying this is Bowser's castle right there. So having Bowser's castle in the theme park would be amazing, would be really cool. It would be kind of dangerous, but I would love that, having that looming presence of Bowser right there. Maybe the bridge with the axe as well. And we can see here one of the fences that you can climb on. Probably won't be able to climb on these in real life. You'd break them because they look very small and fragile. And there's of course a super mushroom, beautifully rendered. I really love that about this. So yeah, we have a little bit of the underground setting and also a little bit about Bowser's castle. So I love that. And then as the interview goes on with Mark Woodbury, he talks a little bit about how Nintendo is perfect for this. And then another shot kind of changes, and we can see a Bullet Bill blaster behind him, which is really cool because, thinking about, that danger of what a, Bullet Bill blaster is, that'd be really cool to have, right? Something that, dangerous in a park. But I also think about the Baby Park level in Mario Kart. I think it was introduced in Double Dash, and there was also in the background a theme park, and you could see these Bullet Bill kind of rides in the background, and that would fit really well with Nintendo Land 2. And then we see a super flower, which is awesome because it lights up. Yeah, it kind of lights up from the yellow part, which looks like it's very special. And we can see a real life crate, which would kind of be more useful in something like a Metroid kind of game, or maybe something more along the lines of Zelda, right? Maybe even Metal Gear Solid. But that's of course not Nintendo. But it looks really cool. Maybe if you touch it, it makes the sound, the sound of collecting something. And then what I thought was really interesting, we can see on the right side of the screen a green star. So thinking about the green star, is it the green star out of the Mario Galaxy games? That is of course the green star that is most notable, for being very hard to collect. But it could also be the green star out of the Super Mario 3D World games. So I like that it's getting some representation here. To me, it's going to be the World games probably, because that's more the mainline Mario games, and I think that Galaxy is a little bit in the past, especially thinking that they will not venture into Galaxy again with the Switch release. But, a green star is interesting to me. And then the next shot that happens is so cool because Miyamoto's, interview about it, he says, "We are constantly amazed how the park developers are bringing the essence of our games to life in the real world." So what Nintendo probably does is they deliver the assets, right, of the games. They deliver what the games look like and stuff like that, but they are not really involved with bringing that to life after. So they bring 3D models and drawings and stuff like that. And what we can see here in the background is so cool because we can see a spinning coin and the animation looks just like in the game. It even lights up as it, passes the screen, and it looks so cute. And I just want to collect coins there. That's just what I want to do. And then we can also see, and this is highly themed after the Mario 3D world. It's almost the exact same tree. It's like this Christmas tree with, of course, complete with snow. And then we can see the note block with some snow as well. And the background, kind of the wall of the winter-themed stages. And I think that this is sort of a hint towards, it will all be a Mario world, and you'll travel to the different parts of the Mario world. So some parts will be, the general grassy plains. Some parts will be Bowser's Castle. Some parts will be a winter wonderland. And sometimes we'll see things from other games, but I don't think there is a Donkey Kong part. I don't think there will be, these separate worlds inside of it. Mario will be the connecting factor, and this just, kind of proves it. So Shigeru Miyamoto also talks a little bit more about the actual theme park, and it makes me very happy because it's just very cool to hear the actual creator of these games, be so heavily involved in this park and actually being there, sitting there and talking about it. In this little shot right there, we can see that the brick block that we were talking about is actually 3D, which makes me very happy, and that we have a red pipe in the sort of winter universe, and it looks like you can go inside there. We have a little bit less of a front view and kind of like a side view, and it looks like you can go inside there, so that would be very cool for the kids. So Shigeru Miyamoto is saying, "Together we are building it with an eye for what guests will actually experience." So what he of course means by this is that they're building it for, not just the looks, not just for the iconography of the franchises, but especially for what it will feel like being there and playing the games in real life and being in that universe. So I'm very happy that Shigeru Miyamoto, I think is a man of many faces. He can make a game like Super Mario, but he can also make a game, as complicated and as big as The Legend of Zelda. So I think this guy truly knows a lot about these different things, and, making him kind of be big involved in this theme park is a very good thing. And then, of course, we get a little bit more of a shot about, the other part. And then Miyamoto says, "We are working very hard to create attractions that can be equally enjoyable for anybody, regardless of age." That to me is no big surprise. I think that Nintendo has always done that. And I think that Universal Theme Parks has always done that. Because when I wander into the world of The Simpsons inside Universal, it's pretty kid-friendly for what that show is, and that show can be violent and, a little bit political and, very much adult. But walking into that world, there's only kids there. There's only kids in the Simpsons world. And Nintendo is, of course, a brand that is very much, for kids and for, the kid inside of us. So, it won't be targeted towards sort of a hardcore gamer audience. Definitely not. I think it's a very good choice. And I think that Miyamoto is crushing it right here. I'm so happy, and I'm still, kind of hypnotized by that coin spinning, because that would be very cool if that was actually in the park. Even if we could collect coins, that'd be really cool. So the interview kind of ends with Miyamoto saying, "Since we're really bringing the world to life, I think Mario will feel like he finally came home." That is, of course, a very Miyamoto thing to say. He really loves his franchises, his IP so much that he really feels connected to them in a very personal way, and that he wants the best for his characters, and that making a real-life world is a dream come true for him too, and to see these characters finally come home, that is really, really awesome. And I think that when he's saying, "I think Mario will feel like he finally came home," I think they're saying this will be mainly a Mario world, but it will have hints to different parts of the Nintendo universe. Kind of sad, but I think that is a good focus. And you know, we're getting a Nintendo theme park, so that is just enough to get me excited as heck. So we'll continue to reveal more information, so please look forward what is to come. That is what Myamoto is saying. Then he punches the air like Mario. He's saying it's going to be fun. We hear the coin sound effect, and then we pixelate through to the splash screen where Mario is punching the block, the question mark block, and we get Nintendo and Universal Parks and Resorts. So this was the analysis, the very lengthy actually analysis. We've been going for like half an hour of the Nintendo, you know, the vision for Nintendo at Universal theme parks. I'm very happy that you guys watched this, and I'm very curious what you guys think about the theme parks themselves. What are attractions that you want to see in Nintendo Land? So let me know in the comments, and I will have a discussion about this soon, you know, what kind of attractions will happen. So please let me know, and I'll take some of those comments and I'll use them in that discussion to kind of make little winks to you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and, you know, for being hyped about this as well, because we know we are. We want to travel, you know, every single week of our lives to that, but it's gonna be a little pricey, but I think we're gonna do it. I think we're gonna stay there for at least a month and just go there every single day. It's gonna be amazing. 2020, I'll be old. Anyway, this was Block Content. We'll see you guys around the corner, where there's always more Nintendo news, including Nintendo theme parks. Awesome stuff. See you guys later.